watching those games, or that last game in particular, pretty good. I think it was like 17 minutes for Alon. Was that? I compared it to kind of like a Jaime Jaquez moment at that tournament where a guy shows you kind of what he can do, and it has a lot of promise going forward. Would you kind of agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think what you saw him do out there is kind of what we know that he can bring to the table. He just had an opportunity to do it, and he actually did it in a real game. So I think, if anything, hopefully it gives him confidence that the things that we've been telling him that he's really good at, the things that he's good at, now he believes it and he can go out there and do it in a real game. So I think hopefully for him, confidence-wise, I think he knows he can go do stuff like that in games.
What are those things? I mean, obviously rebounding, defense. What does he bring when he's playing his best?
All the real, the athletic things that in the game, the rebounding, like you mentioned, he's really good offensive rebounder. He could be a good defensive rebounder. I mean, he's one of our highest jumpers. He's got good size. He's strong. He can get in a stance and defend people and play smaller people, play bigger people. So he brings a lot of athletic versatility to the game, and I think that could really help us as we move forward.
How much of that rebounding can be innate versus taught, especially with a guy like that?
Well, we try to teach rebounding all the time, and I don't want to lose your question, but so for us, offensive rebounding percentage is a big thing.
Right.
We're not very good at it right now, and we should be, considering we got a big team. So I think we're 31% of our misses were rebounding, which is like 134th in the country.
Right.
That's not good enough. We want to be in the top 20 if we can. So obviously we have to teach it better because we're not naturally good at it for some reason. But Alon has that natural ability to run in there, beat people, get position. He's athletic, he's strong, so it really helps him. He's got natural rebounding ability. But the rest of our team, we have to get better at it.
Coach, how are you balancing imparting your wisdom in Alon when he's a versatile player who can not only play in the front court, but at some point, he might have to be on that wing and that back court as well.
Well, I think he's more. We've been playing him. He's more comfortable at the wing. In that particular game that Ben was talking about, the Gonzaga game, we were in foul trouble, so we went to a smaller lineup. So he kind of was like our Jaime spot, our 4 spot. He's more of a wing than he is an interior player. So he's more comfortable on the wing. He does wing type things as a player. But when we go small, because he's strong, he can rebound. It doesn't hurt us as much on the backboard if we're playing a small lineup. So he can play the 4 for us, essentially.
But in practice, when we're not watching, is he somebody that you impart front court wisdom into, and then also the back court, or how does that?
Not really. I'm sticking to what I can do with Adai and Adem and Kenny. He's a perimeter player. Now I will yell at him to go rebound, right? But outside of that, we're not going to do post moves and things of that nature. Our offense will be different when he's in the game. When we're smaller, we're not really running the same kind of an offense. We're changing things up and to a smaller lineup.
But defensively, he seems like he can guard those multiple positions.
He can guard so he had a really good possession that he got switched on to one of their bigger guys in front of the post and stole the ball. He on the perimeter, somebody whipped it to the corner. He reacted, saw it, blocked the shot. Might have been late in the game. We were making our comeback, so he can do some defensive versatility. Really good at it.
What do you see out of Burke last week? Obviously, first 3 games, but what did you see out of him?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. Playing Marquette in that first game was tough for our whole team because we're young, and for him, he didn't play in any games, didn't play in our scrimmage, didn't play in the exhibition, didn't play in the 3 home games. So really, was thrown into the proverbial fire playing against Marquette. So I think as time goes on, you'll see him get more comfortable, try to figure out where he can pick his spots. He's a really talented offensive player. He's got multiple skills. I don't think we've all have seen it yet. Little glimpses here and there in the 3 games, but I think as time goes on, he'll get more comfortable and be way more productive.
How would you kind of assess the 2 bigs lineup? Looks like a couple things that Coach talked about he wanted out of it was rebounding edge, plus 9.5, I think, per game. But it hasn't really helped the 3-point shooting. I think you're 29.5% there. How would you kind of assess it?
It could be a big weapon for us because if you can play Adem there at the 4 and Adai at the 5, we could potentially be a really good power team. the ball inside and score, play off of those two guys. It should help our rebounding. We're a bigger team. The issue, like in the last game, the Gonzaga game, we were in foul trouble. So Adai had 3 fouls with it seems like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And then the Dems foul trouble, it limited him to 21 minutes. So it really wasn't effective in that game. But moving forward, I think it could be effective against people because a lot of teams aren't playing 2 bigs anymore. Usually it's a smaller 4 or a taller 4 who can shoot. He's not going to post up. I think it can be really effective for us. I think the beauty of this team is we have versatility. We can go big and play big, but we also can switch off and play a smaller lineup and not get killed on the backboard. So I think we have versatility that way. I think it help us as the season goes on, but we have to take advantage once we have those 2 guys in the game. And so, yeah, we may not shoot the 3. Those 2 guys aren't going to shoot threes, so dying to them. But we can pound the ball inside, we can rebound the ball, and then we can kick it out. If we get the rebound, we can kick it out for a step-in 3, which is the easiest shot, the easier 3-point shot to shoot.
Coach, with everything we're talking about, how important is it to just remain patient for all of these different things to develop? These 2 big lineup, freshmen, all these new players.
Patience is a virtue. I would like to say, I don't want to speak for Mick, but he doesn't have much patience. I don't either. And when you're at UCLA, nobody has any patience, right? So that's part of it. So we just have to figure it out, and it's going to take some time, and we have to realize that patience is going to be a part of this process. And we'll get there, and it's going to take some time, but we'll figure it out.
With young bigs, a lot of times they run into foul trouble. It's something that happens with a lot of freshman bigs especially. Is that something you can really coach out of them, or does that require a lot of experience?
Both. You have to coach it, show them on film. We've been, with Adai in particular, being a young big guy, some of the rules that he's used to, accustomed to, are different from the rules here. So teaching him that and then getting him to, he has habits of things that he's done, getting him to stop. And then as time goes on, the experience will help him. Like he had a foul where he was in good defensive position. Instead of his hands back and up, his hands were forward, and the offensive player did a good job at jump. So we've been trying to work with him on that. He hasn't got an example of things he hasn't gotten yet, but he will get it. And we got to keep coaching him, and as time goes on, he'll keep getting better.
We still had a few runs against Marquette, and then Sean on 15-2, 17 in there. How are you all addressing that before the other side and getting the team to regroup?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, those are unfortunate runs that you don't want to have, of course. I think, the Marquette run in particular, you have to be, one of our weaknesses offensively is because we're young, and we're trying to figure out what's the best way to use these guys and get to their strengths, right? And eliminate the weaknesses. So we're trying to figure out what the best thing we can run to execute, which is my point. Our execution isn't very good. And when you're in a situation like that where the game is tight, it's competitive, the other team is making a run, now you have to go back, which is what Mick teaches and preaches all the time. You have to go down and get a good possession, a good shot, have a good possession, execute. And I think, that we got hurt in that stretch in Marquette in particular. We didn't execute, and that's where we have to take the next step offensively. We're not there. I think in KenPom, we use KenPom to kind of, figure out where we're at offensively, defensively, and different things. We're in the 60s on offense. And our defense is 14. And I would have thought it would have been different because usually defense is harder to teach, especially a young team. So our defense is a little bit ahead of our offense. But I think our offense is going to get better as our execution gets better, our passing gets better. And when you have those lulls, you have to execute. I don't think we did that in Hawaii, so that's an area we have to improve.
Shooting 29.5% on threes, what do you think is the issue there?
Passing. Yeah, we watched a lot of film the last couple of days, especially the Marquette game. We're not getting into the gaps and getting off the ball enough to get guys open shots. I think passing is going to be the key to that. Because when we have some guys that are squared up and ready to shoot, we should be well over a 30% three-point shooting team as time goes on. But our passing has to improve.
Sebastian, obviously a weapon off the bounce with his ability to get into the lane. How much refinement is there? How much is there excitement about what he can do off the bounce?
It's a good question. It's both. He's a bull, right? So when he gets going, it's hard. He's hard to stop. and does a great job. The Marquette game, I think he shot 13 free throws. He puts fouls on you. I love that. Mick loves that as for guards, because that's how you score. You had to get fouled, get to the foul line, because you're not going to make every shot. You're not going to drive and score a layup every time. So you have to utilize the foul line, which he does. But at the same time, there's instances where he's got too many people around him. He's got to see that, and then he's got to become a playmaker, going back to the three-point shooting, the passing. So and he's got the ball a lot, and as we move forward, he's going to have the ball a lot the rest of the season. So he's got to improve, recognizing when to attack and then when to find the open man. He's one of them. We have multiple guys that have to get better at passing and finding the open man, but there's the fine line with him, because he's so aggressive and he's going to get in there, but he's got to now decide when to pass the ball and when to try to get fouled and score. Good?
Thanks.